Welcome to the Running Network Show. Join us each time as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great sport.
With Todd Williams, a two-time Olympic team member, two-time world champion team member. Todd, what's your best experience of international competition?
You know, I think I was fortunate to come along when some of the best runners in history, the Haile Gebrselassie. I mean, of course I didn't challenge them, but I was in the races where I think distance running jumped to the next level. And I think that's what I always take with me now that I'm retired from running is being a part of time which distance running just turned into Superman.
You told me last night that you thought distance running really changed in '95. Give me a little bit of your reasoning behind that.
Well, I think going into '95 at the World Championships, my goal was to run 27:50, and no matter what the pace, run 27:50, and I should have a pretty good chance of medaling. And that was the year of the prelims, because you had to run a prelim to get into the final.
Right.
And I think to get into the final, you had to run. I was the last guy in at 27:53 to get into the final.
Yep.
And a couple guys were running 27:12 in the prelims. So, and then they come right back with 1 day recovery and run 27:12 again, and I finished ninth running 27:53 again. So I think that's when the big jump started, and these guys just started running fast with a little bit of recovery.
Yeah.
And that's when I had to adjust my training and just worry about myself and focus on what I needed to do.
Now, you ran 8:57 in high school. Tell us about your high school training. What was it like?
You know, I think I was just very fortunate to have a great high school coach, Dave Bork. He was really into the mileage. So we had the 500-mile club, the 750-mile club, and the 1,000-mile club. And it was just a progression. I started as a sophomore, and he said, if you want to try to be an all-stater, you better get out there and run the miles. If you want to try to be the state champ, you better get out there and run the miles. And he didn't throw a lot on me at once. It was kind of like 40 miles a week as a sophomore, 60 miles a week as a junior, and then I jumped to 80 miles a week as a senior, which, you know, I think that's a fair bit of mileage for a high schooler, but I think it got me to the level, and I believed in my coach. And I think that's the advice I give to a lot of high school kids is, you know, believe in your system, and good things can happen.
Now, what was your college training? How did that differ?
You know, I picked a Michigan, man. I'm from Michigan, and Doug Brown was a three-time Olympian in 72, 76, and 80. And he was the head coach and also a distance coach. So I think it was a great progression for me going from a mileage in high school with Dave Bork, and really the program didn't change much at all. I mean, it was just train really, really hard, be smart, and stay healthy, and my times dropped.
What's your favorite distance on the track?
Favorite distance on the track? Probably, I like the mile. I know it's crazy to say because I'm a 10K guy, but I ran 4 flat .09, so it was a love-hate relationship because I always wanted to break 4. Yeah. So the mile was fun, and then of course my best event probably was 10,000 meters, and that's where I competed at the Olympic Games and World Championships. So that was my bread and butter.
You ran a couple smart marathons. Tell us about the marathon distance.
The marathon was hard, very hard. I ran 2:11:17 in my first one. Then I ran 2:13. Then I think I ran 2:16. Then I ran 2:28, and then I dropped out. So okay. I don't know if that's the progression that most runners want. It hurt really bad, and I think for me, I was so impatient. I'm a hyper guy. I like to get after it. And the 15K and the half marathon, you can the gun goes off, and you can be aggressive. And the marathon, I could just never. People would say, be patient, and it never, you know, 2:11:17 was a pretty decent time, but it never really agreed with me.
You ran World Cross Country. Tell us about those experiences. Did you like that?
World Cross Country was, you know, to me it started back in high school. I ran the World Juniors in Warsaw, Poland in 1987 and finished 15th in the world as a junior, and that, I guess I was a senior in high school at that time. Then I was fortunate to go on to run in Auckland, New Zealand as a junior and as a freshman at University of Tennessee, and I finished 13th. So I got great experience running against some phenomenal runners because the Kenyans and Ethiopians as juniors are really some of the best runners in the world anyway. Then from that point, went to college and didn't compete. You know, as a senior, my first year out of college, I ran at Boston. So at the World Championships right here in our home country. And from that point, finished 19th at the Boston World Championships. Finished 18th at the Amaribida, I guess, in 1993 in Spain. And then my best finish ever was 9th in England in 1995. And one thing that I can say about the World Cross Country Championships, when it's one race, is I think it's the best of the best. And it really tells you if you've arrived at the next level. And when I finished ninth, top 10 in the world, I knew that I kind of maxed myself out.
One of my favorite races watching you was in cross country in '91 in Boston. was you and Porter,
yeah.
and you guys duked it out over the course in Franklin Park. What do you remember about that race?
You know, I think the number one thing I remember about that race is they called me Tom. They called me a different name coming down the straightaway, and I kind of, in my head, I was thinking, I can't tell you what I said.
Yeah.
But I had a few choice words for the commentator. But then, looking back on it, that was probably my biggest win of my career because nobody expected me to win. And Pat Porter was on fire at the time, winning, I think, 9 out of 10 in a row. And, it was just a big surprise. And coming across that line first in Boston with a knowledgeable crowd like they were here that year in '91 was a huge win for me. And it catapulted me onto the next level, again, to bigger and better things.
Now, you do some running camps during the summer. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
I've been working with Adidas now, I guess, since 1991. But when I retired in 2002, Adidas kind of brought me on board for grassroots, some events, some camps, some little mini clinics. And what I do is I just try to go to different areas of the country, bring the high school runner in, bring in some really motivational speakers, other Olympians, kind of tell these kids that anything's possible and that running's just not about, being a gold medalist, but it's about finding your own gold medal. So if you're an 11-minute 2-miler, getting to that 10:40 range or getting to that 10:20, or if you're a girl runner starting at 15 minutes, finding your own gold medal. And it's been pretty successful. I mean, we give a lot of Adidas stuff, and the kids are excited, and I think it does motivate a lot of kids to get out and get involved in a great sport that we have in running.
Final question. If you had a young kid coming up and running right now, what would you tell them about developing into their best as a distance runner?
I think the number one piece of advice is, you got to work really, really hard and smart. I mean, I think some of the runners that come up, they have the talent, but they may overtrain. They think they have to do, they just go over the top. So find a good coach and believe in his system. Stay healthy and know that it's going to hurt at every level that you get to. I mean, my first mile was 6:03 running after a turkey in 7th grade, and then my best mile was 4 flat. But it's all those baby steps, and so be patient, work hard, and know that you're going to have some downs to get to those ups.
Todd, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.